To begin this narrative, it is first necessary to return a few years in time. Two girls were walking together when they spotted a large concentration of people and decided to approach. Believing it to be some kind of celebration or public event, in the middle of the crowd, a man, clearly irritated, ended up pushing the two of them, causing them to separate and stumble. This left the blonde girl quite frustrated, and in the midst of the confusion she ran off, eventually colliding with something unexpected. The scene before her was terrible. Shouts of excitement began to echo when a woman climbed onto an elevated platform, for that was apparently the day her sentence would be carried out. The woman drew attention because of her striking beauty, something that stood out even in that hostile setting. Despite this, she showed fear in the face of the fate awaiting her. Her eyes swept across the crowd, observing each face carefully, before hurling words of curse directly at everyone present. At that very moment, a sudden rain began to fall, and the crowd went into a frenzy, calling her a murderer and even a demon. All of this scene was also witnessed by a small girl, who was right in front of the stage, almost beside the condemned woman. Curiously, instead of showing hatred or contempt, that woman looked at the child with a faint smile on her face, staring at her intently, as if she were whispering something meant only for her to hear. Moments before the execution began, a sword was raised, and the woman prepared herself while the girl watched, frozen. When the condemned woman's head was displayed like a trophy, faced with something so brutal, all a child could do was scream desperately. That experience marked the girl deeply in that square known as San Marcos. 10 years passed since then. Now, that girl had become a beautiful young woman named Constance Grail, newly turned 16 years old. She seemed to be celebrating her birthday when a viscount approached to congratulate her. He commented that the goddess of fate would certainly bless her engagement. This was linked to the Grail family motto, which stated that, from a young age, its members should be honest. And because of that, it was believed that Constance was deserving of good fortune. Even so, she found herself reflecting on those words. A few months later, her father, a man known for his unshakable honesty, ended up sinking into enormous debts. With no alternatives, he could only apologize to Constance with affection. Calling her Connie, he explained that the Bronson's family had offered to settle all the debts, as long as she agreed to become engaged to their firstborn and heir, named Neil. The young man, just as in the first time they met, introduced himself in a polite and gentle manner, thinking better about the situation. Constance believed that maybe it would not be so bad. After all, she came from a simple family and had no great ambitions, and besides that her future fiancé seemed quite attractive, or at least that was what she believed. Some time later, however, she ended up discovering something through her friends. Comments and whispers spread about Neil and a young woman named Pamela Francis. They even said that the two had been seen hugging when they thought no one was watching. They also commented that Neil seemed completely in love with Pamela. This story was told to Mylan, one of her friends, while Kate tried to convince her not to spread rumors, saying that someone who was engaged would never behave that way. However, Mylan insisted that Pamela changed partners as easily as someone changes partners in a dance, calling her someone without character. All of these conversations kept echoing in Constance's mind. She tried to trust Neil, since he had always treated her well, but when she went out to get some fresh air, she ended up facing the truth. The rumor was real, and she witnessed everything with her own eyes. To make matters worse, Pamela noticed her presence, smiled provocatively, and kissed Neil without any shame. Constance immediately ran away, regretting having seen that. She knew that the marriage did not involve love, but even so the pain was intense. Still, faithful to her family's motto, she decided to deal with everything in an honest manner. It was then that, distracted, she ended up bumping into someone unexpected. She did not recognize the person right away, only noticing that it was a very beautiful woman, attentively observing something. Constance, always polite, approached and asked if she was all right. The woman replied that she found the situation quite amusing. She commented about the party, and Constance, who asked to be called Connie out of sheer laziness to pronounce her full name, said that she could also come in and enjoy the event. The woman asked if she was sure, and Connie replied that she saw no problem at all. Then, without hesitation, the stranger entered the mansion, something Constance did not expect. She only thanked her, remaining confused for a moment. but soon turned her thoughts back to something more important: her fiancé, who was clearly involved with Pamela. At that moment, a very shy girl approached to congratulate her on the engagement. Constance vaguely recognized her, since she usually walked around with Pamela. Her name was Brenda, and at that instant she ended up dropping a fork. Connie warned that it would be better to pick it up before someone got hurt. But Pamela, who was watching everything from afar, noticed Brenda's nervousness. Trembling, the girl said that she had forgotten her bag on the second floor and asked Constance to hold the fork while she went to get it. Connie accepted without any problem. A boy also watched the scene, and Constance returned his smile with kindness, although she noticed a strange look, which she decided to ignore. Suddenly, Pamela appeared shouting, accompanied by Brenda and Neil, accusing Constance of having done something terrible. Pamela said that she knew about the financial difficulties of the Grail family and claimed that Constance had stolen a valuable accessory from Brenda. Everyone began to look on with suspicion. Constance did not understand what was happening. Pamela accused her of pretending to be innocent and announced that, while she was fixing her hair, Brenda had had her ornament stolen. She asked what Constance had to say. An object of such value would be tempting to someone in need, and everyone knew about the situation of the Grail family. Constance tried to explain that she was only holding the item at Brenda's request, but she was interrupted when they demanded that she show her bag. If she were innocent, nothing would be there. Pressured by Neil and overcome by fear, Constance froze. Then Pamela snatched the bag from her hands, revealing the ornament hidden inside, and displayed a malicious smile, asking whether Constance had any explanation for that. Everyone around was left in shock. The Grail family had always been seen as honorable, and that seemed like something extremely serious. Constance, completely surprised, tried to explain that she had only kept the object because Brenda had asked her to. She insisted on that, but Pamela found it strange. After all, they barely knew each other. Connie began to fall into despair and asked, almost pleading, for Brenda to tell the truth. However, the girl avoided her gaze, visibly uncomfortable. Little by little, Constance became increasingly distressed, while Pamela took advantage of the situation to provoke her even more. In a loud voice, Pamela declared that at that moment Connie was pressuring Brenda and making her feel bad, which was a terrible attitude. She also took advantage of the situation to state in front of Neil that that was Constance's true face and that the engagement should be cancelled immediately. According to her, that was a crime and would stain the name of the Bronson family. Constance tried to argue that there was no proof that she had stolen anything, but Pamela only laughed, saying that everyone there was a witness. She even tried to use the fact that Viscount Hansworth was a man connected to the church, suggesting that this would make it easier to cancel the commitment. Connie declared firmly that she would never commit a theft. Pamela, without the slightest shame, mocked her, stating that instead of being honest, she had completely lost her family's honor and become just a common thief. At that moment, Constance felt the weight of everyone's contempt around her. She looked for someone who could help her, including the young man who had witnessed everything, but he preferred to remain silent. Overwhelmed and without strength, Constance fell to her knees, begging for someone to help her. Then, a gentle voice said that everything was fine. An extremely beautiful woman approached, stating that she could help her, but that she would ask for something in return. Upon hearing that voice, Constance felt a shiver, for she recognized it immediately. Suddenly, that woman's posture changed completely. A light breeze crossed the place, surprising everyone, while Connie let out a low laugh, asking herself who the real thief was in that situation. At that moment, Pamela, already quite affected by the drink, exploded in anger at Connie, saying that she was tired of that supposed honesty. She had never been able to compete with her, and much less accept the fact that Constance had become engaged to Neil Bronson. Pamela never understood why Connie always received special treatment. Even though she believed herself superior in wealth and even in appearance, all that frustration was what led her to create that scandal. Even so, the argument continued. Pamela asked if Connie was insinuating that she was a thief. Before she could answer, someone commented about what had happened in the gardens, insinuating whether Pamela knew she was getting involved with another woman's fiancé. That left her extremely embarrassed. She tried to justify herself, saying that they had only kissed. Neil shouted for her to shut up, while the people around began to judge her. Connie mocked the situation, apologizing ironically, saying that she did not know that kissing another woman's fiancé was not considered theft. Even so, Pamela insisted that Connie had stolen Brenda's ornament. It was then that Constance turned her attention to the young man who had witnessed everything. Remembering his name, she called Wayne and asked, in front of everyone, if he would not like to tell what he had seen. Wayne became visibly nervous, but remained silent. Connie then stated that he should be careful, because besides him, there were other people who had also seen what happened. But Connie shouted for her to look directly into his eyes. The pressure was so great that Wayne could not take it anymore and told the truth. He stated that Constance had not stolen anything, only helped fix Brenda's hair, who even asked her to keep the ornament. Other people, taken by fear, began to confirm the story. Pamela panicked. Neil then asked if all of that was true. With no way out, Pamela tried to use Brenda as an excuse, saying that she had lied. Connie replied, stating that Pamela was treating Brenda in a cruel manner. With a calm smile, she said that there was nothing to worry about and that nothing bad would happen. That was too much for Brenda, who began to cry. To make matters worse, at that moment Mr. Hensisward arrived, asking what was the reason for so much commotion. Connie felt a tightness in her chest, because she knew he would hardly be on her side. Even so, he approached and commented that she seemed to have had a difficult night. Constance replied that the situation had indeed been unpleasant and asked for the goddess's protection, for she needed his help. The man understood that she wished to cancel the engagement, but pondered that the commitment was already public. Even so, Connie insisted, asking that he end it immediately. She also stated that it would be necessary to inform His Majesty about the party held that night at the Grand Meridian, where men and women behaved in an indecent manner in the gardens. Pamela tried to interrupt, saying that that woman was not Constance. However, the man seemed satisfied with the situation, receiving applause from those present. Connie apologized to everyone for having disrupted the night and wished blessings upon the new couple that was forming. After that, she simply withdrew. Pamela fell into despair and tried to go after her to do something, but the ladies of honor of the hall did not allow it. They intercepted her, causing her to stumble and be confronted right there. One of them seemed to wish the best for the young woman of the Grail family. She said that she had good intentions and that she did not approve in any way of what had happened that night. For that reason, certain measures would need to be taken. She explained that, in her homeland, thieves have their shoes heated until they become incandescent and are then forced to dance until death. It is at that moment that the typical sadism of the nobility comes into play. Without her boots, Pamela is forced to dance together with Neil. That repeats for a long 10 years, and many wonder how long she would be able to endure. Most people were shocked to see her that night, as if they were witnessing the return of Scarlet Castiel directly from hell. After all that suffering, the next day arrives. Constance wakes up believing that everything she experienced was nothing more than a simple nightmare. However, when she turns, she comes face to face with Scarlet herself. The woman was there, waiting for her, and poor Connie begins to scream in fear. Extremely frightened, she asks who that woman really is. The answer comes without beating around the bush. Her name is Scarlet Castiel. At that moment, Constance clearly remembers having witnessed her execution years ago. Because of that, she says that none of this makes sense. After all, she saw Scarlet being killed with her own eyes 10 years earlier. Scarlet then asks whether perhaps seeing her there makes Constance believe that she is still alive. Next, she reveals something unexpected, surprising Connie. Scarlet Castiel had been the greatest villain of her era. She tried to poison Cecilia, her rival in love for Crown Prince Henry. He exposed her at the Grand Meridian, and that was where everything came to an end. Her engagement was broken, and her actions eventually led to her conviction and death sentence. Scarlet does not say everything right away, but makes it clear that she wants to know the reason for being there. After all, she has not yet received her payment, since she obviously did not help a stranger without expecting something in return. Constance then remembers having heard that voice while she was kneeling and begging for help. Scarlet explains that the payment will be simple. Constance must spend the rest of her days helping her take revenge, and thus this part of the story ends.
Take you Just take you.